Hey there, how y'all are? It's Don. Thank you very much. It's been a while, and first off, thank you for joining us. Before we do anything, I have a major announcement. There will be many major announcements in the next few weeks, but I am very pleased to say that something I've been trying to do with this particular podcast for the last 2 years, I've finally done. Part of this, I would have to thank the good folks at Spotify for allowing me to actually do this. We've told people that if you want to hear this podcast, there are a lot of places where you can do so. You can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, of course, Pocket Casts. But there's one particular destination we've been trying to get to, and we have not until about 5 minutes ago. Ladies and gentlemen, these podcasts, the Radio Dawn podcasts, are now available on iHeart Radio. That's right, friends. I am now swimming with the big sharks with Keith Olbermann and Glenn Beck and all those guys. In other words, there goes the neighborhood. So download the iHeart Radio app if you want to catch us, or any of the other various and sundry places where you hear podcasts, and you'll run into us eventually. Thank you very much to iHeart for allowing me to infest your spaces, and thank you for listening. Podcast starts now. I come today with glad tidings. Freedom of speech was upheld today in the Supreme Court. Surprisingly, it was upheld. I mean, it was surprising that, well, let me tell you what happened. The Supreme Court on Thursday sided with Google and Twitter in a pair of cases that had alleged social media liability in terror attacks overseas. Justice Clarence Thomas Clarence, in an opinion for the Twitter case, said the families of the victims of a 2017 ISIS attack on Arena nightclub in Istanbul, Turkey, did not adequately show that the online platforms had aided and abetted the terrorists in violation of federal law. Thomas wrote the following, quote, "Plaintiffs have failed to allege that defendants intentionally provided any substantial aid to the Arena attack or otherwise consciously participating, I should say, in the Arena attack, much less that defendants so pervasively and systematically assisted ISIS as to render them liable for every ISIS attack." What surprised me about this is that this decision was unanimous. The liberals and the conservatives came together and sided with free speech. Because if this had gone the other way, it would have been a chilling effect on your ability to speak your mind on social media or anywhere else. The court adopted similar reasoning in an unsigned per curiam opinion in the Google case, which was brought by the family of the only American killed in the 2015 Paris terror attacks perpetrated by ISIS extremists who had posted materials on Google's video platform YouTube. The victims' families in both cases alleged that the social media companies were indirectly complicit in the attacks by failing to remove extremist content from their platforms, in which in turn may have aided terrorist radicalization and recruitment. Let me touch on that for about a second. If you see something on social media and you're radicalized by that, that's on you. That's not on Twitter. That's not on Facebook. That's not on Google. It's not on YouTube. It's not on Fox News. It's not on OAN. It's not on anyone. It's not even on TYT or me. If you are radicalized by something that you read or see or hear, that's on you. In other words, you were already there. You were already radicalized before you read that stuff, before you saw that stuff, before you heard that stuff. That's on you. So can we stop this whole thing about brainwashing? Those people who basically went from being on the left to being on the right, they were already there. They may have just not expressed the thoughts they are expressing now because they didn't want to hurt the family, they didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but now they don't care about hurting your feelings. They were already there. It's kind of like people who say, oh my God, my grandfather watched Fox News and now he's so MAGA. He was MAGA before he turned on the TV. He was MAGA before he turned on the TV. So let's stop blaming social media for the insanity of your grandpa or anybody else. Let's start realizing who the real enemy is. Fox News is just a symptom, not the disease. Federal anti-terrorism law allows civil lawsuits against anyone who aids and abets in knowingly providing substantial assistance to a terrorist in perpetrating an act of violence. But Justice Thomas, in a narrowly tailored ruling, said the standard had not been met. Quoting Thomas, "The fact that some bad actors took advantage of these platforms is insufficient to state a claim that defendants knowingly gave substantial assistance and thereby aided and abetted those wrongdoers' acts." Yeah, but what about 1/6, you say? Yeah, what about it? Again, these people were radicalized before they turned on the TV and watched Fox News or OAN or The Blaze or The First or any of those other places. They were already there. Ask this question. You've been subjected to the same thing your now crazy right-wing uncle has been subjected to. Are you MAGA? Did whatever Tucker Carlson say affect you and turn you to the right? No? Because based on what you've told me, my God, you should be out there, being a member of the Proud Boys or whatever. But you're not. You were subjected to the same stuff that Grandpa was. But Grandpa is MAGA, you're not. Why is that? Because you weren't there. Your grandpa is. But I'm so happy about this because, at least for now, the ability for anyone to speak freely is still upheld by the Constitution. You may not like it, but you also do have the option of answering back, confronting them, blocking them. That's all part of free speech as well. But let's stop being thin-skinned about this stuff and understand who the real enemies of this country are. It's not the media. They're just a symptom. The disease goes deeper, much deeper. And it's time we realize that. George Santos and Dianne Feinstein have to be removed from the Congress immediately. Most of you know why. I'm going to tell you why they're not going to do anything about it. And it basically shows how screwed up this system is. First, let's talk about Santos. Last week, federal prosecutors filed criminal charges against George Santos, the representative from New York. He's a Republican lawmaker whose astonishing pattern of lies and fabrications stunned even the most hardened politicos, says CNN, according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. Santos, who was taken into federal custody last Wednesday morning, is expected to appear at federal court in New York's Eastern District. He's already done so. He faces 13 federal charges, 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of public funds, 2 counts of making materially false statements to the House of Representatives, and a partridge in a pear tree. Well, probably not the partridge in a pear tree, but anyway. The congressman's attorney declined to comment. Spokespeople for the Brooklyn U.S. Attorney's Office, the Justice Department, and the FBI declined to comment. Yeah, I know there are crooked politicians all over the place. Washington is rife with them. So is every state capital, every mayor's office. They're all crooked, in my opinion. But George Santos is on another level altogether. Not even Donald Trump is this bad. To preserve what's left of the integrity of the House of Representatives, he has to go. As for DiFi, several years ago, I went with my family to see my brother, who had basically gone to college at Grambling University. Grambling is adjacent to a small town in Louisiana known as Ruston, probably named because of the water in that in that town, which at the time was pretty brown and pretty rusty. I mean, I actually did get sick drinking that water, but that's another story. So I'm outside of the Burger King. Folks were in there getting lunch, and I was listening to the car radio, and I heard about the guy who basically walked into City Hall in San Francisco, killed the mayor, killed Harvey Milk. And I was introduced to Dianne Feinstein. She was a city council person who, I guess she was the vice mayor who became mayor of the city of San Francisco because of all this. I have always had great respect for Dianne Feinstein because she did that and because she stuck to her guns on a lot of things. Yes, during the years she had sort of like became more conservative than liberal about a lot of things. But I still had a lot of respect for her, which makes what is happening with her right now sadder than you can imagine. This is a woman who is deep in dementia. A reporter talked about, asked her about, the time that she was gone. She was gone for some time with shingles. Dianne replied to him, "Well, I haven't been gone." Really? Now, usually you'd probably think, I really haven't been gone. Yeah, I haven't been here, but yeah, I haven't been gone. I've been working through all this and the pain and all that. And politicians say that. But the way she said that to the reporter, they made him think that Dianne Feinstein wasn't all there. So as much as it hurts me to say this, I think Dianne Feinstein has to go. But here's the problem. In the House, the Republican majority is razor thin. In the Senate, the majority for Democrats is razor thin. And if you take both of those people out there, it's almost a tie, really. They can't, both parties can't stand to give up one person. And that's how screwed up things are. They will keep a person who is crooked to the bone, who is dishonest to the bone on the one hand, and totally and completely unable to actually function on the other, just to keep a slim majority in the House and the Senate. This is how screwed up things are. They have to go. Santos and DiFi, they have to go. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Why? Because of majorities. It's probably why I think we need to really take a look at the system in general. The idea of liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat. This is not just flawed, this is broken. Almost to a point where it may not be able to be repaired. We need to take a look to see if we can come up with a new system. Because this ain't working. Finally, I just want to introduce myself. I mean, we're new on some platforms like iHeart Radio, and you're wondering, who the hell is this guy? And the fact that you managed to make it through this, I appreciate it. I really do. Your listening to the whole thing helps us out with algorithms and things like that, so I appreciate it. I am 68 years old. If I sound old, it's because, well, I basically have only a couple of teeth left. Seriously. I was in radio for 20 years. I've never really left the business when you think about it, because, being a podcast, even if I'm just one guy speaking through Spotify for podcasters, it's broadcasting. It's putting your voice out there, your thoughts out there. I am basically to the left of everything, but sometimes my fellow liberals drive me crazy because they do dumb things. Conservatives do dumb things too. And my BS detector is always on. So I will call people out, and it's not going, and I am not careful about what I say about the people I'm supposed to hate and the people I'm supposed to love. Stupid is stupid. And I have a phrase that I use, which is basically D2S2. Don't do stupid stuff. The last word, there's another word that starts with an S I usually this, but we'll shall see. In terms of service. I don't like Donald Trump, but I don't think that he's the cause of all of our problems. I think that he is a symptom of a bigger problem. And that problem resides in our hearts. Our hearts need to change if we want things to get better. If you want to get rid of mass shootings, for instance, yeah, we need common sense gun laws. We also need common sense mental health action. But we need to change our hearts. And that's something you can't legislate. That's something you can't fund. We need to change our hearts. A lot of things. And hopefully, as I talk, as I put out these things from time to time, I'd like to think that my feelings, my opinions are connected to that we do need to change our hearts. And I'll stop there. I'll introduce myself a little bit more on the next one. If you made it through this, thank you. If you are following me on anywhere, thank you. If you're not following me anywhere, do so. Depending on the medium that you are listening to me on, you know how to follow somebody. You know how to follow so you can get the notifications on when we are putting stuff out and things like that. And I really would appreciate you stopping by when we do things and listening through the whole thing. I know I'm not Keith Olbermann. I'm not Glenn Beck. Definitely not Tom Hartman or anybody else. I can barely talk these days, but I think I have a point of view that if you listen to it, you might say, hey, he might be making some sense. With that, we'll talk later. Oh, remember, you can follow, there's one sure way you can follow us, actually two. Our website, which is radiodon.net. And you can also follow our link tree, which is linktr.ee/radiodon. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.